Thank you for tuning in to Building with Belief podcast. I'm your host, AJ. I created this podcast to be a safe space for women navigating through marriage, motherhood, your career, all while keeping your faith and keeping God at the foundation of everything that we do. First, I'm going to introduce myself because I'm meeting you for the first time. You're meeting me for the first time. We know nothing about each other. So first of all, I am 27 years old. I am a first-time mother. Literally today, I am 3 weeks postpartum. Like, we got to clap it up for that, ladies. Clap it up for that. I also am in the real estate industry. So I work full time. And when I tell y'all, literally all these episodes is just going to be me talking about my experience of everything that I'm going through. We are going to hit so many topics just this season alone. But this season, we are really going to hone in and focus on pregnancy. And we're just going to take it on down the journey. We're going to have a season of marriage and so on and so forth. I'm not going to spoil too much for y'all just yet, but just tune in, y'all. Like, ladies. That's all I got to say. Just stay tuned in. So, like I said, I'm a wife, first-time mom. I work full-time in the real estate industry, and I am currently in a new season of my life that is stretching. It's beautiful. It's humbling all at the same time. But I know that I would not be able to get through this season or even be in this season of my life without God. Wait, I need a second. Oh my gosh. Y'all, I'm sorry. Mommy brain just kicked in. Like, I was just talking and then it just stopped. No, literally, I've noticed during pregnancy that mommy brain was a very, very, very real thing. Because like I said, I'm in the real estate industry full time. I work for a builder. So I'm like, I would be in my office and I'd be writing deals and like putting everything together or going through negotiation. And then I would just completely pause like this. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what was I saying? And literally my assistant would be like, this is the address that you were just going through, or this is how much you said the house would be. And I'm like, I did? Like, I don't know. Mom brain is a real thing. When I say, like, right now, my body is going through so many different things, so many different changes. Y'all got to bear with me, like, because this is wild. But anyways, I was still introducing myself. So like I said, I'm 27. I've been married for 3 years. And when we talk about somebody that has experienced so many different things to be so young, I used to own a record label. I used to own a recording studio. I was a real estate agent in Miami for about 5 years. And then my husband and I moved on down to Texas. So I'm going to give y'all the background story of that as well. My husband and I met on South Beach, spring break of 2020, the year of COVID. 1 week before COVID hit, we met, and it was crazy because at this time in my life, it's weird to say ready to settle down considering I was so young, because that was 5 years ago, right? So I had been praying that God slowed me down a bit, because when you're in the music industry is such a fast-paced life. And just kind of the guy that I was dating then, like, I knew he wasn't for me or the best decision for myself. So just praying about it, God allowed that situation to end. And I'm like, Lord, it's very clear that I cannot spot a good human being. I don't want to say it like that. That's kind of wrong. But like, I can't spot the man that I'm supposed to be with, because the guy that I'm going for is just not for me. Like, I ask that you please bless me with the man that you want me to be with, the man that's going to love me for me, but not only that's a man that's going to love me for me, a man that I'm going to love for who he is, and that we build and grow together. Boy, when I tell y'all, the Lord is like, okay, my child, I hear you. Thank you for coming to me. You should have been come to me, but you come to me now. Literally, I want to say a week or so later, I met my husband on South Beach spring break. He was introduced to me from my very first boyfriend in the 9th grade. Wild. And when I tell y'all that it was like, when we first met, it wasn't on something like, oh, like, let's kick it, let's start dating, let's talk, anything like that. It was literally just like a, hi, my name's AJ. Hi, my name's TJ type of situation. And we didn't talk again until about a week later. Now, this is when COVID hit, everything was shut down. We had followed each other on social media, and I had like, I was on Instagram Live, and he jumped on my live, and I kind of shoot my shot on Instagram Live. And it was kind of it from there. Like, we exchanged contact information, and we talked every single day since that day on Instagram Live. Like, going through COVID, we watched movies together. But I was so grateful, and God knows what he's doing in the way that he just aligns things. Because if we would have met and COVID didn't hit, I don't think we would have been able to build the connection that we built with one another. And I say that because lust is so strong. Like, we're not gonna act like you don't see somebody that looks good and you're just like, let's kick it, yada yada yada, so on and so forth. But we were forced to talk. We were forced to learn each other's past. We were forced to get to know one another. And it's like, how can I love you for you if I don't really know you, because lust is getting in the way, right? So I was able to learn him for him. I was able to see the potential that he has, and he was able to know me for me and the potential that I have. And I just knew, like, this dude was going to be my husband. Literally. I was just like, yeah, that's gonna be my husband. Now he's my man, my man, my man, my man. But anyways, like, we were able to learn one another. We were not able to have sex, so sex was not in the picture. So like I said, we were able to really, really build a strong connection, to build a strong bond. And because of that, that like set the foundation of communication for my relationship, for my marriage, right? And it was about, I want to say 3 or 4 months later, he moved down to Miami. We kind of moved, well, we moved together. We started building a life with one another. We're going to fast forward in 2022. We got married, and when we were dating, he kept talking about how he wanted to move to Texas. And I'm like, oh yeah, like, let's do it. I'm all for it. So once we got married in 2022, 2 weeks after we got married, we got rid of our condo. We packed up everything that could fit in our car, because we were shipping our car, and we sold everything. Like, we prayed about it. We prayed, 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 prayed. And it was like, God said, okay, it's time to move. So once it was time to move, we packed up everything. We came to Texas. We came to Texas with no house, no apartment, nothing figured out. Don't even know what area of Texas we want to live in. The only area we knew was Katy, and that's because of YouTube. And it was just kind of figure it out. And not just, I can't even sit here and say that when we upped and moved, everything was perfect. Like, everything was not perfect. Things were hard, things were stressful, but it just took a lot of praying and just asking that God guide us. Like, because we felt like, why, it was almost a doubt, which I know that could be very easy to do when it's like, okay, you pray for something, God allows it to happen, but it doesn't happen the way you want it to happen. And now you have so much doubt into what you did, even though it was a move that God told you to make. And that's when you just have to have your faith that God is just going to align everything to his will, right? And he's doing it for his glory. Because if things just work out the way you want it to work out all the time, are we truly going to glorify God? No. Most of the time, a lot of humans are going to just give their self all the props because they feel like they did it on their own, right? So it was about, boy, I want to say 6 months. Both of us, we didn't really have a job. I flew back to Florida for a couple of house sales, while TJ stayed in Houston, and he was doing tow trucking, something that he never did in his life, something that he really didn't even want to do. But one thing about my husband is he's going to go out and he's going to get a job, or he's going to do whatever he has to do to provide for his family. And that's like a really, really great trait that he has. So it was like 6 months that we were living with a family member that had just moved to Houston as well. And finally, I was able to close a really big deal in Miami, and we were able to get our first apartment. And we were were nervous about that, but it was crazy because we drove past this apartment complex. When I tell y'all, like, every single day, to the point we would go and sit in the parking lot of the apartment before we even went and applied, and we just prayed on it, like, Lord, if this place is meant for us, please allow us to live here, just please guide our steps, just almost just going through the routine and just asking God to allow us to get a space, because it's like sometimes you take what you have for granted. Like, we lived in a high rise condo in Miami, and just like that, it was gone. And not that it was necessarily taken from us, but we walked out of that. And sometimes you just don't appreciate what you have until you don't have it anymore. So now we're just praying that we can get inside this apartment complex. And one day, boy, it was Black Friday of 2000. What was that? Black Friday of 2022. No, I'm sorry, a few days before Black Friday of 2022. We went in, we toured again. We seen this 2-bedroom apartment that was super nice, super fly. We loved it. We was like, okay, this is the space for us. We prayed on it. We prayed on it. We prayed on it. We prayed on it. And we applied. Now, we're just like, money is a little tight. Okay, like, being very transparent, money became a little tight, because now when you're living 6 months off of your savings, then you're just like, hold on, wait a minute, like, how are we gonna make this work? How are we gonna make this shake? We both didn't have really stable jobs unless I flew out of town into Miami to go handle a real estate deal. And if you're in the real estate industry, you know that if you're not like consistently on the hunt, it's hard to get a deal, especially if you're not located in that city at the time, right? So literally, we're just like, all right, whatever. We applied. We didn't know if we were going to get approved. And just, I think that was just doubt. Like, sometimes we get in our own head. It was just doubt. And Black Friday of 2022, I felt really stressed out that morning. And, I left the house that we were staying at, and I just went to get breakfast. My husband was getting ready to go to work, to go in the truck. And I had just left, and he called me on the phone and said, honey, like, everything went through with the apartment. And I'm like, what? Like, are you sure? And not only did everything go through with the apartment, I had just closed a real estate deal 2 days before that. And everything had just like finished up, and that came through the same day. So I literally told him, I'm like, you're not going to work. I'm coming to get you. We're going to eat. We're going to the apartment to give them the money. Like, the Lord has provided. We went and we put 7 months rent on that apartment. So we was like, listen, while we're trying to find stable jobs, we have nothing to worry about when it comes to rent and bills for 7 months. And then we went shopping, and we were out from, no lie, y'all, like 10 in the morning to 1 in the morning that Black Friday, because we had to buy all new stuff, new sofa, new pots, new pans, everything for the apartment. And it was crazy. It was crazy, but that's how we started our journey here in Texas. And it's like I could keep going with that specific story, just of like how God has provided and how God has held our hand and led us every step of the way of our journey here in Texas, down to where we are now. Like, we're 3 years married. We have a beautiful home. We have a beautiful child. I'm very grateful. I'm very, very grateful, but I'm also very aware that if I did not have God, if we did not put God at the foundation of everything that we do, that I would not have anything that I have today. Now, that was like, I was just supposed to be introducing myself and giving y'all a background, and I just like completely went on to a whole side note. But hey, it is what it is. Y'all know who I am now. Y'all know how I ended up here in Texas. Y'all know how my husband and I got together. But the overall of all of it is that it all started and come down to praying about it, believing and having faith in it. And I think most importantly, like Hebrews 11:1 says, now faith is confidence in what we hope for and assurance about what we do not see. I think we just need to remember to, no matter what season we are in our life, is to pray about it. Pray before we do anything, even whether it's a small decision, a big decision. Pray about it and let God handle the rest, because it's just like we don't know what God has in store for us. Like, so I have a verse that I literally live by. This verse had popped up, I want to say back in like 2018, 2019, where I felt like I was almost going through like identity crisis, but not, I was at the same time. And I'm going to read it from, so I'm not adding my own words in here, but it's Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord. They are plans for good, not for disaster, to give you a future and a hope. In those days when you pray, I will listen. If you look for me wholeheartedly, you will find me. So overall, that was Jeremiah 29:11 through 13. But anytime like I have doubt, anytime like I feel like something may not work out, that's what I think of. And I just pray about it, y'all. So overall, like this podcast, even though I went on a whole rant and I was just supposed to be introducing myself, every episode we're going to be talking about something different, whether it's marriage, whether it's motherhood, whether it's how are you balancing motherhood with your career, whatever it is. This is a safe space. I want this to really feel like a breath of fresh air, almost like you're just taking a deep breath. Being said, like I know this was supposed to just be me introducing myself, and I ended up into a whole complete story time. But I hope those stories that I told y'all shows that at the end of the day, like we have to be rooted in faith in order to walk within our purpose. And that's why I wanted to open up to start this podcast. Really, we're going to be talking about marriage, we're going to be talking about careers, we're going to be talking about work-life balance, marriage balance with work, marriage balance with motherhood. I'm going through this, so I'm not speaking about something that I have not going through or that I'm not currently going through. I don't have all the answers, but I do believe that God meets us where we are, right? And my prayer is that this podcast is like a deep breath, a reminder that you're not alone, that I'm not alone, and it's encouraging to keep walking with God and having faith, even on our busier days, even on our harder days, even on our days where everything is going well, right? Thank you for listening, and make sure you remember to stay rooted in faith and build with purpose.